If she doesn't have 500 million, she won't live anymore. The cold threat made Jack's heart beat faster. Episode 26 will shock you with the tension and determination to save Tu Tien's life. Late that afternoon, in a makeshift wooden shack deep in the forest, Tu Tien lay unconscious on the damp ground. Her face was smeared with dirt and scratches were clearly visible on her cheek. Surrounding her, Huang and a few accomplices huddled together, speaking in hushed, conspiratorial tones. One of the men, clutching a phone, said to Huang, "Now call Jack and tell him to have 500 million ready if he wants to rescue this girl." Phuc nodded with a sly smirk, adding, "Once we get the money, we'll make a run for Vung Tau without leaving a trace." Only minutes later, Jack received a phone call. On the other end, a cold, unfamiliar voice stated, "If you want Tu Tien to be safe, bring 500 million to the location we'll send via GPS. Do not notify the police. If you do..." The stranger paused briefly before laughing lightly. Jack gritted his teeth, his heart pounding, and demanded, "I want to hear Tu Tien's voice to be sure she's still okay." The caller replied curtly, "She's unconscious and can't speak. Just worry about getting the money here. If you're a second late, she'll be in serious trouble." Then the line went dead. Clutching his phone, Jack felt as if his blood were boiling. He had been busy at the construction site, but now he dropped everything and rushed to his car. Just as he was about to start the engine, he turned to Jiang, who stood nearby with a look of deep concern, and said, "Stay here. Don't follow me. I'm afraid they might get more aggressive and I can't risk anyone else getting hurt." Jiang hesitated and nodded, though her worried expression remained. "Be careful, Jack," she called after him. Once Jack sped away, Jiang couldn't stand by idly. Ignoring his instructions, she quickly dialed the number of her friend Tung, a police officer. In a hushed tone, she recounted the situation and sent over the GPS coordinates that had just been received. "Tung, please help. I'm terrified they'll hurt Tu Tien," she pleaded. Tung's calm voice on the other end reassured her. "Don't worry, I'll figure out a way to help, but you must keep this secret so as not to endanger Tu Tien further." Meanwhile, Jack raced down the deserted road, his mind in utter turmoil. He carried with him a bag stuffed with a large sum of cash, part of his personal savings and part hastily gathered from the company. "As long as I can save Tu Tien, I'll do whatever it takes," he vowed silently. Navigating the winding roads, he glanced at his phone, which displayed the GPS coordinates sent by his kidnappers. The sky was pitch dark, hinting at a night filled with peril, and Jack knew that every second now counted. Jack stopped his car in a clearing deep in the forest, where the GPS signal had led him. The surroundings were gloomy, and the constant chirping of insects only added to the tension in the air. Clutching the bag of money in his hand, he advanced towards several shadowy figures. A tall man stepped forward and signaled for Jack to stop. "Hand over the money," the man ordered. Jack tightened his grip on the bag and replied calmly, "I need to see Tu Tien first before I pay." Behind him, Huang looked on in annoyance and shot a sharp glance at one of her henchmen, whispering, "Make him show her, so we don't waste any time." At her signal, another man pulled Tu Tien out from behind a thicket. Though visibly exhausted and with a pale, ashen face, she was still alive. Jack's heart clenched at the sight. Taking a deep breath, he set the bag down. "Here's the money. 500 million. Now, let her go." A tattooed man stepped forward and carefully peeled away the adhesive tape covering Tu Tien's mouth, checking to ensure she was still breathing, then gently pushed her toward Jack. However, at that moment, the tall man eyed the bag with suspicion and rifled through it. With a low growl, he said, "Fine, but don't try any tricks, or else..." He raised his arm as if he were about to strike Jack. Unexpectedly, even though still weak, Tu Tien tried to lunge forward, shielding Jack. The tall man's powerful punch sent her crashing hard to the ground, her vision swirling as she lost consciousness. Jack screamed, "Tu Tien!" and rushed forward to scoop her up in his arms, his anger flaring as he turned on the kidnappers. They sneered and moved in to subdue him once again. But before they could act, a series of shouts rang out. "Police! Drop your weapon!" Tung and his team appeared, guns drawn, forcing the kidnappers to halt. It turned out that Jiang had secretly alerted Tung, who had set up a blockade on the only road leading out of this part of the forest. Hearing the police sirens, Huang and her cronies panicked. They dumped the money and tried to flee, but were quickly apprehended. The clattering sound of handcuffs sealed the end of their vicious plan. In the midst of the chaos, Jack cradled Tu Tien in his arms, tears welling up as he saw her lying unconscious. Tung stepped forward and placed a reassuring hand on Jack's shoulder. "They're all caught. Now hurry and get Tu Tien to a hospital for a checkup." Jack nodded, quickly calling Jiang for assistance. The three of them left the scene in a rush, taking Tu Tien back to the house so she could receive proper care. As he looked at her prone form, Jack couldn't stop blaming himself. If only I had alerted the police sooner, she wouldn't have had to suffer like this. Still, he silently thanked Jiang and An Tung for stepping in just in time, saving Tu Tien before it was too late. After being rescued from the kidnappers, Tu Tien remained unconscious for about an hour, resulting from a blow to the neck and the effects of starvation and confinement. A doctor arrived on the scene and confirmed that her life was not in danger. She simply needed plenty of rest and proper physical and mental care to recover. Throughout the examination, Jack was extremely worried, repeatedly asking the doctor whether she would suffer any lasting effects. Only after receiving reassuring answers did he finally allow himself a small sigh of relief. Seeing that the farm was no longer safe, Jack brought Tu Tien to his own home. He had already prepared a comfortable bed in the guest room on the upper floor. When she eventually regained consciousness, he gently fed her some congee and helped her regain her strength. In a soft whisper, she admitted, "I still have a headache and feel dizzy." Jack leaned in close, carefully tucking the loose strands of her hair away from her forehead, and said in a choked voice, "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you as I promised. Just rest, okay? I'm here with you." His eyes brimmed with regret, tired yet determined to shield her. Later that night, Jack went downstairs to speak with his mother and recounted the entire ordeal. Sitting down heavily in a chair, his voice still trembling, he explained, "They demanded 500 million in exchange for releasing Tu Tien, and they even beat her on the neck. Thankfully, the police arrived in time to rescue her. Now she's had some congee and is resting upstairs." His mother frowned with concern. "That poor girl has suffered so much. It's best to keep her here for now, rather than sending her back to the farm. What if some of those criminals who haven't been caught yet come back and endanger her again?" Jack nodded in complete agreement. "Yes, I think so too. At the farm, she'd be all alone. If any bad people return, there'd be no one to help her. It's best to keep her with us until everything settles down." Hearing her son's words, Jack's mother immediately got up and went upstairs to check on Tu Tien. Gently opening the door, she saw the girl lying quietly, her eyes half closed, and her face pale but noticeably less tense. She carefully added another blanket and drew the curtains to make the room cozier. Later, when she came back downstairs, she told Jack, "Let her rest. The doctor said she must be closely monitored, nurtured, and given emotional support. Don't let her blame herself or be afraid anymore." Hearing this, Jack felt a surge of determination. "I will take good care of her. I won't let her suffer any more harm," he promised. Jack's mother quietly stepped into the room where Tu Tien was resting. Noticing that the young woman, though still tired, looked much better than the previous day, she smiled gently and asked in a soft voice, "Are you feeling any better? I've brought some milk for you." Tu Tien nodded and slowly propped herself up with her hands, her expression showing deep gratitude. "Thank you, Mom. Actually, I was deceived, because I was so worried about Jack being injured, and that's why I ended up getting kidnapped by those criminals." Placing the glass of milk on the table, Jack's mother gently patted Tu Tien's shoulder and said, "That's all behind you now. Just forget it and focus on resting. Stay here with our family. Don't rush back to the farm. It won't be safe out there." Tu Tien's eyes clouded with sorrow as she murmured, "I'm worried about the animals on the farm. No one's been feeding them and they must be starving." Her mother reassured her, "Don't worry, I'll let Jack handle it. He may be busy, but he'll arrange for someone to look after them. Now, you need to calm down and learn how to manage things so you're not left at a disadvantage." Seeing the timid look on Tu Tien's face, she added encouragingly, "You have such potential, and with Jack's support you'll definitely progress. Both Jack and I will take care of you, your clothes, your meals, so just rest easy." Tu Tien, with tears welling up, nodded in quiet agreement. Meanwhile, Jack was inspecting a 5 km road project in the countryside, which was slated for completion within a year. Progress had been very slow lately due to delays in land clearance. Standing beside several blueprints, he addressed the construction team. We need to hire more workers to accelerate the pace, but quality must never be compromised. Make sure you properly organize the materials to protect them from the rain. And don't forget to set up warning signs and an effective drainage system. Everyone nodded in agreement, though Phuc, the new assistant, appeared less convinced. She suggested, "Perhaps we could cut the timeline down to 5 months to save time. We could just do a superficial job instead of being overly meticulous." Jack frowned sharply and replied, "No. This road is critical for public safety. We must adhere to strict standards." At that moment, Trong, the chief supervisor, also voiced his objections, stating, "If we rush too much, we risk cracks in the road or even landslides during heavy rains." However, Phuc pressed the construction team to follow her plan, arguing that upper management wanted the road finished quickly for the opening ceremony. Seeing this, Jack's tone grew stern. "I am ultimately responsible here, and I will not allow anyone to compromise on safety standards. If Phuc insists on cutting corners, I will have to report it." The atmosphere grew tense as everyone realized that Jack would never yield when it came to quality and safety. Phuc fell silent, her eyes flashing with displeasure, but she dared not argue further. After a long, stressful day at the construction site, Jack hurried to Tu Tien's farm to check on the livestock. He parked in front of the gate, stepped into the yard and called out loudly, "Hey, you dogs, come here!" At the sound of his voice, the mother dog bounded over happily, wrapping herself around his legs. Jack patted her head and said, "Good girl. I've got congee for you all." He opened the lid of a warm pot of congee, scooped it into small bowls, and placed them down for the mother dog and her pups. The little puppies eagerly rushed over, playfully circling Jack as if they hadn't eaten in days. Seeing them happily enjoying their meal, Jack felt at ease enough to go check on the chicken coop and the pigeon house in a corner of the garden. The chicks, though fully feathered, were chirping weakly from hunger. Jack grabbed a handful of feed, evenly scattered it in the yard, and added some boiled greens from the day before to supplement their meal. Nearby, the pigeons fluttered down, their wings flapping excitedly as Jack sprinkled some grains. Watching the scene, Jack couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness, thinking about how long Tien had been away without anyone to care for them. After that, he swept the yard and tidied up the kitchen. Once everything was in order, Jack carefully locked up the farm and drove to a nearby supermarket to buy milk and some nutritious food. He planned to bring these home for his mother and for Tu Tien, who especially needed to recover after the kidnapping ordeal. Later that evening, Jack returned home, handing a bag of milk to his mother and carrying a bottle of water along with a box of sweets up to Tu Tien's room. As he entered, he saw that she was more alert, sitting with her head resting on a pillow, bundled in one of his mother's sweaters to ward off the chill. When she noticed Jack, she gave a small smile and asked, "You're back. How are the animals at the farm?" Jack reassured her, "I fed them all. There's nothing to worry about. I'm thinking it might be best to hire someone for long-term care so you can rest and stay here with me." Tu Tien's eyes flickered with hesitation as she replied, "But I still want to take care of them myself." Jack gently stroked her hand and said softly, "I understand, but right now you need to focus on recovering. In time you'll be able to get back to the farm. For now, just rest, read, and learn alongside me. I promise I won't let you suffer any more losses." She nodded, feeling a sense of relief knowing that he was always ready to support her. The warm, comforting atmosphere in the room slowly pushed away the lingering worries from the recent ordeal.
Trước hết khinh thường lên đầu cô. Cái nhà này cần có cháu đích tôn, chứ không phải cần một người đàn bà vô dụng. Từng lời nói chữ dắt dao cứ sâu vào trái tim Tự Tiên. Đôi mắt cô đỏ hoe, bàn tay nắm chặt bảo và áo cũ. Cô kìm nén để không bật khóc trước mặt những kẻ chẳng chút thương xót cô. Chiến, người từng đỏ tay gối với cô, người từng hứa hẹn bao điều, giờ đây lại lạnh lùng đứng nhìn không một chút do dự. Cô đã không còn gì trong ánh mắt anh ta. Nỗi đau không còn dừng lại ở những lời miệt thị khi mẹ chồng lớn tiếng đuổi cô ra khỏi nhà. Tự Tiên gần như quỵ xuống. Cô không biết mình đã làm gì sai ngoài việc sinh ra trong một số phận bất hạnh. Ngày cô về nhà chồng, cô cũng từng e thẹn bước qua bậc cửa này mang theo bao ước mơ về một mái ấm. Nhưng hôm nay cũng chính bậc cửa đó cô phải rời đi trong tủi nhục, trong sự lạnh lùng của người chồng. Trong ánh mắt khinh bỉ của